Hey guys, it's Daniel's son. Welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, we are working on the Ferrari Testarossa engine out service. Now, as you remember, on the last video, we took the engine out of the Testarossa, actually the whole drivetrain, and now that car is just a hollow shell. Now, in today's video, we're gonna go ahead and continue removing some covers, checking some stuff, checking the timing, and actually the valve lash as well, and then maybe some other stuff that will come up as I go. Now, this video took a little bit long because I didn't want to take the engine out without having parts to actually put it all back together. Now the parts will be here in a couple of days. They're not here today, but I was so excited to start working on this car. I decided to start today on a Saturday. So on my day off, I'm here, I wanna work on this. I've been waiting for, 2 weeks now? So yeah, I'm definitely excited, let's get to it. Now before I get in there and start wrenching on the engine, I'm actually going to do a shout out for my friend AJ over at the Prancing Horse podcast. Now he's decided to also make some videos for YouTube, which I'll have that stuff linked below for you guys to check it out. And I'll actually, put a little sound clip in here for you guys so you can kind of see what the stuff that he does. He does some news about Ferrari and stuff like that, so here you go.
Welcome to the Prancing Horse podcast. I'm glad you can join us to learn about the history, news, and culture of the world-famous Ferrari. I'm your host, AJ, and I'm so excited to continue our Prancing Horse podcast with this third news episode.
Now, he's actually really good at it, and the most important thing is this is his passion, so I know he will only get better. So I definitely recommend checking his channel out and stuff like that. Me and my buddy Eric, the guy who used to edit my videos, him and I are hooked on it. We listen to it every time an episode comes out. So yeah, definitely if you want to keep up with the news about Ferrari, models, all that stuff, definitely check him out. Now let's start wrenching on that engine because I'm ready for it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the valve covers. I actually already kind of took them off just to take a quick look at them, but I decided to put them back on just to cover everything because I haven't worked on this engine for about 2 weeks, so I didn't want anything getting in there. Yeah, I don't want anybody messing with this stuff. This is why it's still sealed up, even though it was removed 2 weeks ago, but I still don't have parts, so yeah, I was not gonna take this apart and leave it open to the elements. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we have both timing covers removed, and those were the little bolts I was trying to get in the back. They're little 8mm heads, and then I had to get the harness that goes from here. It's like the power harness. I had to remove it, so I was able to remove that cover. Now, yes, I'm gonna be removing these hoses and stuff like that. I don't want to pull on them because a lot of times these are pretty brittle and they break. So I don't want to mess with those too much right now because I want to order new ones and replace all those hoses, especially for the air pump here. So that's why I didn't remove this to get the bolts underneath, even though it's a lot easier when you remove this. As you can see, the water pump is here. It's actually part of the case. You rebuild the pump in the case. It's not like the 456 where everything's actually attached to the spout itself, not the engine. So now let's go ahead and remove the big bolt for the big pulley and take this off. That's actually a 36mm, and yes, we're gonna impact it off. Now, a lot of these pulleys don't really come with like maybe some bolt holes, so you can put a puller on there because they usually don't seize. Now, this one's been sitting for a while. It doesn't seem to pop out very easily. So we're gonna go ahead and see if maybe we can try a couple things to get this thing off. So hopefully it's not seized, honestly, because that would be terrible. Okay, so the pry bars didn't work. Pulling on it didn't work. I even tried tapping it with a rubber hammer and it wouldn't work. Now, I started using this pulley. The pulley does work, obviously. You should never do this, but I know that these are not seized on there. They're just a little bit hard to get to. And this is a short wrench, no major pressure. You go very slowly, and yes, it is moving. And like I said, I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't a better option, but it seemed like all the other options I was going to cause some damage. That one seemed the less intrusive, oddly enough. And as you can see, there's not even a scratch on the pulley from where I put the puller. So yes, like I said, it took barely no effort, but I really wasn't able to get anything on the back of it to actually pull on it properly or push on it or whatever to get this thing to move. So yeah, I think that worked out great. So now we're going to move on to the side here. I'm going to pull out all the spark plug wires and the spark plugs as well. Now I have to be extremely careful, and I'll probably break at least one of these clips where the spark plug wires go into. They're old, they're always brittle, and yeah, they can be hard to find, so I'm going to be extremely careful. But yeah, I'm afraid we'll probably have at least one broken. As you can see, the rotor is actually fixed to the cam, and there is a little bit of rust back there, so we're gonna have to clean up that. Obviously that's outside of the seal, not inside, but we'll clean that up. That'll look very nice after we're done. And again, you know, that's fixed on there, so pretty cool. Now let's go ahead and do this side. Wish me luck. Okay, the spark plug wires are out, so that's great. We didn't break any tabs, which is, hopefully we don't break any on the way in, you know. We're still not in the safe, but at least they didn't break on the way out. Actually, breaking on the way in would be worse, because then at that point, if I have to order parts, that would be a big delay. So yeah, we really have to be careful putting them back in. Let's go ahead and start removing the spark plugs. So we got the spark plugs out. Now we're gonna start putting stuff in baggies before we forget, provided by Mrs. Wizard. And yes, we're gonna go ahead and bag all this hardware up so everything is back where it needs to go. I want every nut and bolt to be perfect on this car, because this car actually is perfect. So I want you guys to take a look at this spark plug. As you can see, they actually removed that little top thing. I'll show you maybe on a new spark plug, but most of you probably know there is a cap on here. It's removed and you just leave the threads exposed. Also, there's nothing really major going on with the spark plug. There's no deformities or anything like that. There's no rust. Also, you can see there's a fair bit of soot on there. It can be pretty common on these cars, especially when they're sitting for a while and maybe they turn them on and move them from, you know, here to there on in the shop or in the garage, depending on where they are at. And that can happen. Obviously, we were not going to run this car, so, and even if we try, we possibly that could have been an issue or a misfire in the car, but they all look like that. So again, not a big deal, no major problems or issues seen here. We're just going to replace them and that should be it. I went to set up the degree wheel, not because I need to degree the cams right now, but because I need another measurement for a future project that you guys definitely should stay tuned, because it is awesome. I can't reveal it just yet, but yeah, I'm really excited about that project. Now obviously it didn't work. As you can see, the one that we had for Hoovies 456 didn't fit, so I had to make this little collar on there just to kind of extend and reach the key on this so I can turn it properly. Now obviously I'm not a machinist and I probably spent about an hour making this thing, but it works good. And let's proceed and find, you know, put it top dead center and for me to get that extra measurement. So it is at top dead center. No, it is not true top dead center. This is just simply to have it, the top dead center, take the belts off and do my timing work. Now when we go back together and we actually do the cam degreeing, then yes, I have to find true top dead center, but it's fine for now. I'm gonna go ahead and find that other measurement, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the valve covers, remove those, and then measure the shims to see if they are within spec. So now that the engine is at top dead center, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the valve covers, and it's a perfect chance to use my little speed wrench. I don't know if I talked about this one on another video on how much I like this thing. Again, I don't get to use it because it's really pointless, but I had one when I was a kid, so I'm just gonna play with it again. Now we finally got those valve covers off. It was extremely fun to use that little speed wrench. But again, I got all the tools to check the valve lash because that's the thing that we're going to be doing next. This is actually a Ferrari special tool, or at least they sell them for these cars specifically. And yes, we're going to need some feeler gauges. Now we also need to find our spec. So I'm going to pull the computer up. We're going to pull up the manual and see what the spec is. So this right here is our operating clearance for the intake and exhaust. And then over here we have our measurements. These are metric, but luckily our feeler gauges have both measurements, so that'll make it easy. So let's go ahead and check those measurements. We're gonna go ahead and check the clearance on the intake and exhaust cam on number 1. Now the best way to do this is go following the firing order. So it's number 1, and then number 9 will be in the same spot, so you can you can measure that one. You always want to measure at the base circle of the camshaft. You don't want the lobe to be anywhere near close to your shim because that'll throw off your measurement. Now I'm only gonna do this one because doing this whole process takes a long time and my phone will probably die before I finished. So I'm gonna show you how to do this one and maybe even show you how to use the tool, and then that's it. The other ones I'll probably just kind of do them off camera, get them done, and get them done right. I decided to move it to get a better angle on it so you guys can see more clearly. But yeah, usually you would just kind of do both at once and then move to the next one. So let's go ahead and see if it's too tight. Okay, that's good. So it's not too tight, so we can move into one of our spec measurements. So 0.20 millimeters. Okay, that fits good. Move on to the next one. Okay, that one doesn't fit the 0.22 millimeter, so that means it's right here at 0.20. So let's move on to the next size for this one over here, which is 0.25. This is our maximum, and oh, there we go. That actually has a pretty good feel. It does fit though, but so let's see if this one, which would be too loose, the gap is too big. Let's see if it actually fits in there. And it doesn't. So that's good. That means this is actually within spec. So we're going to write the numbers right up here, and then we're going to move on to the exhaust, and then we'll be done with number 1. And yeah. So these two right here are way too tight. So I'm going to show you how you're supposed to replace these. Okay, so I decided to bring a flashlight so we can actually see what we're doing. And yes, I got it pulled up on the manual as well just to make sure, but I'm going to show you how this is done. It's not my favorite thing to do, but you just kind of shove that spoon in there. Just give it a couple of taps. Just gentle taps. And then you use the cam as leverage to push that valve down, and then you use this hook that goes in between there. Now the problem with these hooks, they're not very good. They tend to slip, at least my experience. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to make this work in this case. They might pop out, but that's fine. It happens all the time. So as you can see, now we have room in between the cam and the shim, so we can pull the shim out. Now you take a nice clean magnet and you try to fish it out. So you can see, there we go. Now these, as you can see, typically have a number on them. This is what you use. This is your measurement. This is what the shim measures. And you can double check because they wear out. But yes, we can use this measurement to see if we need to add or subtract to make it the correct size. So you saw how you're supposed to adjust the valves in this car. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every one of them because it'll take forever. And I really want to pay attention. I don't want to mix that up because, you know, I have to measure. I have to make sure I have everything right. And I don't want to pay attention to the camera. So I'll do that off cameras. But you guys kind of get the idea. That process, I have to repeat it 12 times. That's it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this has been a blast. I'm going to cut the video right here. I'm going to wrap it up because I will continue filming next week. Now, obviously, it's going to be during shop hours, so the guys are going to be around. There's going to be commotion, but I'm not going to stop them for me to film. So, yes, but definitely will be filming because I want to get as much content out of this engine as I can. I also want to say thank you because you guys have been extremely supportive with the comments and everything, liking the videos, watching. I really appreciate that. And again, you know, as you like the video, go ahead and like it. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. Share it with anybody who might be interested. And yeah, also thank you. Now on that note, stay tuned and I will see you on the next video.